Hello, America. Hello, New England, Connecticut, New York, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Maine, Vermont, New York, New York, New York, New York City. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. So, people, can you hear me? This is live broadcast for the boxing. This is what we're going to use to fix interstates. One of the games of pantheism. Pantheism is the science. It goes with the republic, otherwise it doesn't function correctly. I think I scared off the person who was listening, so I have to list the states. New York City, the boroughs, Queens, Staten Island, Bronx, Brooklyn, New York, upstate New York, New York State, Connecticut, Weathersfield, Connecticut, Rocky Hill, Newington, Hartford, Connecticut, the Heartbeat, New Haven. How are you, people? Can anybody hear me? I have to get a haircut. Jeez. It teaches things boxing. Boxing life is about boxing. So with this method, it's about boxing, martial arts, and wrestling. For example, to teach people how to react as a crowd. Because if you pay attention since founding, pounding drums, there hasn't really been the right to the assembly. And so until you have a spots for assembly. One way we can do this is having them safe too, because we're going to have people there who need the place. In other words, at least temporary. We have spaces, the peepee, the dung, what do we call it? To make it, for the waste disposal. Temporary. So not like a little, what they do to fit in with what is originally still part of the torture, part of the slavery method. If you will follow my videos, we're going to counter as a quality of fact human nature. That which has been pretending it's a quality of fact human nature can't defend itself without self-valuing. Having been criminally for influence premises treatment, sequence treatments, fact human nature qualities and aspects. And I'm not a lawyer. We're going to use how we wanted to use since founding everyone, how lawyers were inclusion with interbranch, victims were victim predators. Same way over criminal enterprises, kept with them, needed to hide the same sequence shifts, finding active progressive lifestyles of it, and with the private ones originally still. You have to understand the Constitution unabridged and Marbury versus Madison, real justice must satisfy all appearances of real justice. Therefore, if people are sequence shifting, sticking sequences in courts, interstates, and in the 9/11 context, same people rolls with predicate acts with the news. All these methods of hiding it and pretending time goes on, all they're doing is just stacking more names and roles with predicate acts delivery system method. Criminal insidiousness, natures of positive and negative treatments simultaneously, identity treatments, title treatments, location treatments that can't be defended without being a style that can't defend itself as logic and defend and afford us defended from that breaching method that every modern country has to counter. And the breaching method knew that everyone would have to blame other things, others, ourselves, because it separated them from what nature forces us relied upon. Fact, human nature that was revealed by the really what the fact, human nature, quality, and the system /S is the republic for which we stand, abridged. We are obligated by our founders to demonstrate abridged. and everyone had to hide their roles with it. Everyone had to hide their actual motivations. Everyone had to paint motivations that would still cover up the breaching method that was forcing them now and then to hide the roles with their individuals as countries and with individuals here. Complete remote possession of them, no matter how they try to stop it. Because everyone missed what was sophistication here, the method, the actual motivations. Then all those other ones juxtaposed, individually grouped together, that were propagated, and then self-cultivated while it was being sustained. As well, you have to pay attention to what they were doing when they were sustaining the ground tactically in nature. The means to survive, the means to cause positive value nature progressions in the hands of worse than the devil. We're going to refer to it as a hyper-archetypal criminal enterprise. And we're going to discern the hyper simultaneous as that which is being intellectually prohibited, that which is inseparable from the syntax of someone who's going to describe how to think properly. I'm not a doctor, not police form. Sorry, you need doctors, you need police to think for you. You let them make things up with you, for you. And with the overt criminal enterprises, private ones, originally still. That's evidence. Lawyers too, fabricating audio and video, pretending other. Our founders can tell no lies. Otherwise, they're being told wrong. They want the Constitution unabridged, and they want Marbury versus Madison, quote, all appearances, real justice must satisfy all appearances of real justice, unquote. So, quote, real justice must satisfy all appearances of real justice, unquote. Obviously, that's the intention of Marbury versus Madison, and of the Constitution unabridged, originally and still. So the evidences of it unabridged are how people want to debate what's undebatable and got away with it originally and still. That's one of the evidences. Like about how treatments of black are criminally foreign influence, delusions rot. You know, people know this, and it is evident where how people speak for integrity, love. Oh, then they have to contrast, huh? Then they have to compare it to other countries, make it worse and harder simultaneously, pretending they don't realize. Where now they're stuck either weapons and wars or sanctions. And no one notes that now, you know, England doesn't even remember English history. It's, in other words, no one can defend sophistication. Everyone's in a trap with sophistication from semi-ancient times. That which is the science is unabridged. So made self-value, individually grouped and together, countries through defenses, bound tactically all other ulterior from how we are naturally, individually grouped and together, perfectly increasingly. All exceptions and exception nature are in demonstration of the same thing. Boxing. So, Hartford, Connecticut, Wethersfield, Connecticut. All we need is one person. See, when I say that before, you know what they do? They pretend passions and emotions while they're sequence shifting, and with switching and forging names. Interbranch has been using Facebook pages and YouTube pages of their roles with. Hey, Ron Adams, my greatest greetings to you, Anthony of Earth. How are you, Ron Adams? Greetings from where you're from. How was everything? Boxing is arts. So boxing, martial arts, and wrestling is more probable that they revealed sharing an identity the same way the notes of English, of music share individually grouped and together. Notes of the identities of letters are shared individually grouped together, distinct identities of relationship to themselves and other letters. My week's been good. How's your week been, Ryan Adams? Anything good you want to promote, let me know so I can tell the people about it. So, new year goes by so fast. Already we're past January. It feels like yesterday it was New Year's, right out. It was a new year. Now already, there's only 11 months left. Less than 11 months left. So, time is forever's course. Right, Adams, we can fix the world. Every boy and girl. Just keep promoting the truth, my friend. Yes, Ryan. We have to do this. All we've heard since we're little, countries A through Z, locations, areas, states A through Z, they've been using truth for lies, though, or they've been leaving out exceptions, exception nature, because they're and the completion of there are distinct identities of exception. Of exception nature, for example, we are a species, body, a volume, individual. Exception, we are individual. In other words, it wants us to understand the individual identity of volume, its value. That is simultaneously to what is simultaneously making more of the identity of what is simultaneous, hyper simultaneous, and its identity of relationship to itself, and the value of that only increasing. So that's also Earth's difference relative to the rest of space nature. So it's forced away because we are increasingly no longer the system native pure. So that's lethal. These forced space nature transfer, nature being its identity of relationship to itself, and the value of that distinctly where it is all places at once, and distinctly to where we have a temporary, distinct, non-distinct, and simultaneously concentrated value at Earth, where we can be demonstrated to that 3 years, for example, are 1,095 days. So there are proofs that we are the contribution, and with the rest of Earth, with no criminal foreign influences, no, that phrase needs to be used since some ancient times. A breaching method. What Little Rap Guy and Friends are about, those cartoons. There's a devil / genie, and it is described that way because of how it is getting over on us by exploiting the function / S by the invisible / hyper invisible. So when the ancients would teach about language, they would teach about how we are speaking, we can communicate. I could bring up a mountain and we could speak about, we could fit into our conversation because how our nature really works, how consciousness really works. See, they fight with people who say get woke, or they're against woke, but no one's fighting about actual premises. No one's actually teaching. No one's actually setting the ground for evolution. And that is incentivized because exceptions and exception nature that were faked were set up to keep how nature wants us to, our syntax, to use language, to use its function, how we are functional per its method. We have industries on top of rivers because that was forced because that slavery method, north and south, was against everyone. Even had to hide their roles. So many crazy laws, witch trials, slavery crazy against people because of a color. This is also used to divide and to have entertained all these different countries in Africa. Not, which is fine, be independent, but everyone shares that quality of fact-keeping nature, pretending with passions and emotions that I could speak for the law, they never let used as what is hyper-evidential when the people use black or white. They left out the breaching method, how it employed that. They leave out how witch trials were simultaneous. They leave out how the ground was attacked in the nation simultaneous. Leave out first. You have to understand the breaching method against Native Americans. See, they put a whole bunch of different motivations, nature, needs, interest to screen what kept and keeps America, American history, American sciences, criminally foreign influenced. The same thing in other countries. And the people at locations mixed experience with it at the other campuses to whatever or not. The sophistication / non-sophistication is complete. The complete possession of a breaching method, a hyper-archetypal breaching method that forged modern nations as victim predators, as archetypal criminal enterprises, bound individually, grouped together, tactical terror, syntactically, reliant upon defenses and styles of logic and of premises, treatments, fact, treatment, nature, qualities, and aspects that can't be defended. And anyone from what actually most furthers and further uses of criminal insidious natures of positive treatment / negative treatment simultaneously, like overt negatives like predicate acts associated with criminal enterprises. But see, this time we're dealing with a hyper archetypal criminal enterprises. Modern countries as a archetypal criminal enterprises. Transnational criminal enterprises. Interstates criminal enterprises. And that too, all identity ground locations and uses of styles A through Z of logic, because everyone had replaced the short words in Revelations, where and how George Washington was to be interpreted where he could tell no lies. So he came to Connecticut before the last battle of the Revolutionary War, and he had to leave entrenched in Connecticut, in New York, in Boston, sickly distinctly, slavery with color overtly against people A through Z, sickly distinctly, while it was against everyone, sickly distinctly, A through Z. And it was so having been sustained as that same breaching method that had and still has sustained measured uses by everybody blaming other things, others, ourselves, where and how Native American rights are forsaken. Actually, it's relevant to where and how their rights are forsaken as Americans and further as Native Americans. And then further, how even further into the ground, tactically denatured. This is why it's relevant to where and how we got on waters. We can only calm the cares and concerns of the rest of the world by admitting this. My dog is going to turn 10 this year. I can still remember when he got him. Our dog was like that, very old. That's old, like, right? So it's Ron, there's the nature is having needs by our uses of words, our uses of distinctions that needs not to to entertain what they're forcing. We already forced us to entertain. They had that sustained. And so while they were sustaining it, nature was demonstrating negative value, nature progresses, acts, nature that everyone needs to respond to as fact, human nature qualities. Equality, natural. Now, as all these qualities, opinions and convictions that are abridged. They couldn't be presented as the Constitution because we would read it and tear it up, because it would prevent the Constitution unabridged. It would should demonstrate that and how the Constitution is unabridged. So this method measured what our founders had to leave us like this as what is actually recorded. And they also had to entertain words, nature, deed, the things that they would entertain, what was left entrenched, that which is incapable of defending itself north and south, sickly distinctly. So what they did was force the North. North was being locked down by the breaching method that had remotely used too, not just England, other countries individually grouped and together involved with its slavery. It was a criminal re-engineering of that which had been revealed by the whole species as the whole species system. Species identity of volume distinct, grouped different, locations, areas, ages, sexes distinct and non-distinct, and individual, distinct, non-distinct, and simultaneous, in demonstration of hyper-simultaneous, where and how even when we are complete identity, we are further a semi-nature relationship, as the parts of our body are a semi-nature relationship to our individual complete identities. That is, everyone together, even the species body, every single one person simultaneously is still a semi-nature relationship with the rest of the species of Earth. Only in temporary possession of automatically of where we were a distinct, non-distinct, and simultaneous relationship to the rest of space / existence, and further, greater than that and more finite, well as that, to the hyper simultaneous, that which is two more identities of sequence / simultaneous nature, two more trinities that are bound. So each cell, nucleus, cell body, cell wall has how water and the elements of earth are coming through it, and it has how air and the elements of air, the visible but still discernible. See, we know about oxygen, about gases, whether we learn things right about it or wrong about it. Humanity knows about this because only the extent of it is debatable, because that's what we're revealed knowing. See, but just because things become manifest doesn't mean they're natural. They can be natural only as criminal insidiousness. So rather than having this understood, they engineered, the breaching method engineered a whole bunch of different natures of insidiousness. So there's that fifth identity of insidiousness, with just A through Z. When they make opinions, for example, they say, oh, about it's politics or whatever, regarding black and white treatments. On The View, I saw a clip on YouTube. You know, they showed a clip from The View, and they got mad and they kicked off, put her on pause or made her think for 2 weeks, Whoopi Goldberg, for saying things about, for not using the Holocaust as a fact treatment. In other words, which does not make finite. In other words, it uses people's names and uses premises, you know, that hurt everyone. In other words, that's in the furtherance of where and how they're making and forging self-cultivated fake sides of that science, syntactically, increasingly not defended and capable of being defended Because offensively, for example, people are making opinions and convictions, uses of other names, and needs to pretend motivations other than actual. So they have this on a mass scale. Through other motivation, interest, and sustain that. And knowing that individually grouped and together, all identities of sophistication would be kept and could be kept used remotely, needed to hide from and hurt. Correlation nature at each age of fact cheating nature. It's our actually recorded inherent act and progressive means. And to receive what is actually being demonstrated by nature, which is, even if it's not existent, a hyper archetypal criminal enterprise. We need to charge that and be on the same page charging it. That's even better if it doesn't exist. Because it, to an extent, is discernibly having been in existence, having been self-valued in existence, where individually grouped together, they were used remotely, forcing North and South to entertain treatments of the law, fact-cheating nature qualities, opinions, and convictions by the law as the law, as all its only voices, as our humanities, our volume science, tactical ulterior from its original volume science. I think so. No one's around here anymore. I have to try to call out more locations again. That's what Ryan Adams into this video. So if you guys want the end of this video, yeah, all right, someone tell me where we left off, because this is important, because we have to stay on the same page. New York City, Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, Staten Island. Can you hear me? Manhattan. Here, please. Through the villages, the borough. Is there a brook in Brooklyn anywhere, by the way? Does anybody know if there's a brook in Brooklyn? And so, in other words, we have to show how both violence encounters to violence had been employed since before our founding parents were born, before the founding parents of modern England were born, before the founding parents of modern countries A through Z, were even born. The sciences were only having been remembered, having been abridged. Therefore, simultaneously not uses of the short words and revelations about how to think as nature presented and presents. Actually, we should think. We should how to use its system. How to counter where and how. We can't stop now. Here, there, they keep going up with the competition. Then they hear each other using our names and uses of their names when they're using each other's names. The breaching method measures and maintain this. Needs to blame out other things other than itself, including remote uses of how nations are grouped. Nations have increasingly as a positive value, they can just claim, look, we have all these nuclear weapons. We don't want to fight with each other. We don't want to be the sick systems other than the humans. So do something. And then they can just tell us, put the syntax ground, let us know, and the whole species will surge in and shut down the weapons. You guys say, well, we need you guys to take over this, make it into a game. Evolution science should only feel like games. If it doesn't sense like a game, there's something wrong. So we have to take away a whole bunch of impositions on a whole bunch of countries at once. And those impositions were set up by how the ground was tactically natured for this. So blaming it on a hyper-archetypal criminal enterprise, we could bring reliefs relevant to where statutes have been pseudo-associated, improperly associated with peace or with integrity. And the only reason they got away with it is because definitely wars and bombs and narratives behind them are not with integrity. Sickly, distinctly, differentially worse too. Differentially, hypocritically. So the connection is unstable. It says, please wait while we try reconnecting. New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Vermont, Maine, Massachusetts, Long Island, believe. I don't know if I'm online or not. Vaccine gets hot or cold. It's guided by what's wrong. But even that is discernible. So it's not the hyper-visible concern. We're going to be used to show it. Vaccines, we just can't slow it start. We move. Vaccines are prepare the hearts, the groove. It says your connection is unstable. Please wait while we try reconnecting. I don't know if they reconnect. So this is end time to end the stream. Thank you.